So we're making such good progress on this back end here. I kind of want to keep plugging away at it, but not in the way you think. You know, we could, start diving into the roll pan, but I think I'm going to hold off on that. I want some instant gratification, And the best way to do that, I think, is to install my rear tail lights and my front lights. But we have to do a little bit of fabrication work on these rear tail lights to make them adaptable to this truck, help fit the look of what we're kind of going for. So yeah, that's what we're up to today. Let's put some eyeballs on this and some nice tail lips. Yeah, I said tail lips. Welcome to Hi-Ho Sable Garage. Figured I would give you guys a little before and after. This is the before on the front, and this is the before on the rear. So what I'm thinking here, I have 4 of these lights, you see. What we're going to be doing basically today is we're going to be retrofitting the single housings onto this truck. They were never designed for this. I think they're just universal lights. They might also be very like square body Chevrolet, like a step side box type light. They look very, very similar to that. But they're steel construction on the back, nice steel construction on the light, and then the actual only plastic is the front face. But they fit the truck pretty darn good, to tell you the honest truth. Now, we can go about this a couple ways. We can basically mount this light anywhere, pretty much. Now, what I'm kind of liking, let's go from the top, quite literally. I could mount these up here. It would be easy. Your step would be very functional. Just basically make a bracket off this bedside. I don't want to do that for obvious look reasons. I don't quite like the high light look. I could mount them down below. I like the low look a lot better than the high look. I think that fits in very well. But now it's kind of into your step just a little bit. Not exactly ideal, especially for what I want. So that leaves roughly one more situation we can go about. And that is, take this bracket off this light, and we mount it to the fender itself. So maybe like an L bracket or something, but to the fender at the back. You have all this usable step space still, all that good stuff. I think that's how we're going to go about this. I'm going to make a custom bracket that will bolt onto this guy, and then we just bolt the light onto that. Easy peasy. But they're going to be different per side, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm here passenger side. Same thing. This light would be kind of down low. But these old trucks, maybe not international specific, but old trucks in general sometimes had their license plate mounted up on the side, maybe a little bit angled in, whatever. Down below the light or up above. I think that's going to look a lot better than us cutting into our roll pan for just this. We already did that on the F-150. It's not really copying it because they are both different trucks, but I already did it on that. I kind of want to do something different on this truck. And I'm thinking old styling for this whole entire build series, basically. Obviously, it won't have this bracket on, but we put the light down here. But when we build this guy's mount, we also build it with the intention of putting the license plate like this. I think that would look pretty darn slick, if you ask me. That way it just kind of hangs out just like so, and we can go at it just like that. I think that's going to work out pretty darn good. We also need a license plate light for this guy. I think I'm just going to do similar to what I did on that, and it's just like a clear clearance light right there, shines right across. I think that's going to work out pretty darn swell. So, what I think I'm going to do at the very beginning is make my 2 mounts for my red lights themselves. Get those mounted, right? And then we can modify the mount later on for this side, because obviously this side's completely different. But if I make the mounts the same on both sides, we can at least get those guys bolted to the fenders, get those all situated where we want, and then we can go from there. So yeah, let's start working on the mounts for these guys. Now, kind of keeping in this whole theme of rounded edges, I know we shaved away a little bit on the tailgate, but we added round edges where we could, that kind of stuff. We're trying to keep things round, circular, keep the edges off things. So even on this mount, I don't really want to do just a square mount. I think we're going to make it a little bit more complex. I think what I'm going to do is cut this pipe in half. That way we get basically a half round pipe. That's what this guy's going to bolt onto. Then we're just going to add 2 ears off the side, weld on, whatever. That's what's going to be bolted onto this guy. and then the light's going to bolt onto that. That also gives us, hopefully, enough real estate to weld on our brace. We'll also have to brace it at the top, just off the fender on this side. But that gives us a ton of real estate to add on accessories right onto the actual mount itself. So I think that's going to work out pretty darn good. So yeah, that's what we're going to start out with. I'm going to split this pipe down the middle, make 2 square edges, that kind of stuff. Work with it like that. Then we can kind of drill it, do what we need to, fit that light on. I think it's going to work out pretty darn slick. Now, a few fellas were confused on why I made a tailgate when I did, considering the rest of the truck isn't done. The tailgate's kind of the last thing you would think of. Reasons like this. Now I have a perfectly good workbench to work off of. Can't go wrong with that. Well, isn't that awesome? You know, forgot to hit the play button again, but I'm going to show you guys what you missed out on. I took this pipe here, measured out 3.5 inches in, cut it, and then split it down 2. That's what we ended up with. That's what you guys missed out on. Whoopsie daisy. I'll try to hit the play button next time. So again, that's what we got going on here. So this guy's going to basically mount here, and it's going to kind of mount up. See if I can get this without this bracket being in the way. I don't think I'm going to be able to. But it's going to mount up similar to like that there. We just got to make a little ear there. So we just got to make an ear on this and an ear on that. 2 ears. That's going to bolt onto this. I was going to scrap this guy altogether, but I think what I'm actually going to do is cut it down, because I can use this and it can go right up against the bed, obviously when it's cut down to that size. And then we'll also have some side support for this light. So we'll have 2 top and 1 side. That way we shouldn't have to strengthen any supports, especially when we go onto that side. We'll just make the lights a little bit stronger overall. I think that's going to work out pretty darn good. So that's what we're going to do. I got to make 4 sets of ears for these guys with basic sheet metal. Nothing too crazy. And then we're going to bolt them onto this. Well, I was thinking about adding 2 little ears off to this. But then I realized we have pieces of chip trailer that just keep on giving. And this guy's going to actually work out pretty good, because I can actually forego that piece that comes in on the bed to strengthen that if I use a heavy wall L, basically, like an L bent piece up. This is the piece that we took off when we did the roll pan. He's just going to snake on inside like that. And then we can just kind of drill our holes, bolt it on. I can just weld it directly to this guy. It's going to work out pretty darn good, to tell you the honest truth. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to cut out 4 chunks of this guy, weld him onto these, and round the edges, all that stuff. And then we're pretty much drilling holes and bolting her on. I like that. Wasn't clear, this is what we're doing. I'm going to take these guys right here. We're going to be lap welding them on this just for a little bit of extra strength. Won't hurt anything on this guy. Lap welding them on this guy right here, just like so. And then we're going to cut it down, round it out, that sort of stuff right from the beginning. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do it to both sides, because I got all 4 corners basically done up. Then when it's all welded up, we can kind of trim it up, all that stuff. But mostly then, we can drill the holes where we need to be right onto there. I think it's going to turn out pretty darn slick. So we have both brackets basically all done up now, like so. So now we basically just have to adjust them, fine tune them. They might need to be bent here and bent there just a little bit to fit these fenders. Drill our holes, bolt them on, and then we can drill the holes on these guys to put the actual light. Not bad, let's get to work. that's kind of how they look. Not too shabby at all. I can adjust anglage just a little bit, but I think that's going to work out pretty darn good for the rear taillights, to tell you the honest truth. And again, that's kind of the bracket situation that we got going on. This nice round bit, and it's attached through that. Same as over here. Nice round bit, and it's attached through. So now we got to start working on that license plate holder. All right, so that's kind of the idea that we got going on. I'm gonna drill some holes on this guy right here, and then I made this little lip because I'm hoping we'll put the little light right here and it'll shine right across. Kind of go on the truck like that. So that's the mount for this guy. Now we basically just gotta weld a spine on this and attach it to our bracket system. All right, so with both lights on, this is kind of what the license plate looks like. Just got a junk license plate on there from the old license plate wall over there. Just kind of as a marker. But that's kind of how it is. I think we might have to add a brace, go into the fender, but maybe not. It's hard to say. I might leave it just as is and then we'll go from it like there, but it goes off the light mount. I quite like it. I think it turned out pretty darn slick. That's how it looks on this side. Again, plain Jane. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening on this one corner. So we have to add our reverse light basically right here. That's where I'm kind of thinking it's going to look the best. Again, just kind of imagine the reverse light down on the bottom. I think that's going to look pretty darn slick, to tell you the honest truth. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty darn good. So it's the next day, and basically we're going to continue on the back lights. Now, we need a reverse light on this. This truck, I don't believe, came factory with one, but here in New Brunswick, we need a reverse light on our vehicles. Technically, I could get away with it, but I kind of want one anyway. Plus, they're really nice to have at night, you know? They're not too bad. Now, going with the theme of old, what I could figure is they pretty much had big lights for spotlights and stuff like that for reverse lights back in the day. So we're going to kind of mimic that. Now, we got a couple spots we can put this guy. So, spot number one that I was thinking, we can put him right there. I looked at the back, didn't really like it. Don't really want to do it that way. Spot number two, I could put him right here. That would tie into why we made this spot a little shorter, because that's kind of what I thought. I was going to make a housing and stuff, but we got this nice chrome housing anyway. Don't quite like it. What I actually like is this. I think a really good spot for this guy actually is at the back, right here, underneath of our little tiny running board, really close to the back fender. That way you don't see the entire bit, basically, from this guy, but we can aim him down at the ground, sort of like that, to basically mount it directly to this small quarter running board. I think that's going to work out pretty darn slick. Plus, from the top looking down, you don't have this big, ugly chrome light. You know how it is. I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So we just got to make a mount for this guy to tie into. We're not reusing these guys anymore. This is our bolt. That's a pretty darn close bit to this guy right here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to measure the distance, the cross-section distance on my chrome light, cut this guy out as a spacer piece, and then this guy right here should be the part that we weld directly up on top or up underneath that running board. So I'm going to cut this guy to shape, and then we're going to get to work. And again, that's what I mean. We're going to weld this guy right here, this collar piece, up on top of the truck. and then we should be pretty well good. We should be able to actually move this guy around in every orientation that we need to. I think it's going to work out pretty darn slick. There. I think all things considered, that hides that reverse light pretty darn good. Plus, driver's side, that's really the side you need lit up. It should light up pretty much all the way down to there. That's plenty for backing up at night. Plus, I can angle it up and down if need be. I think that turned out pretty darn slick, to tell you the honest truth. Obviously, this side's a little bit busier, but we can add some things onto that side down the road, or just leave it plain Jane. But we still got stuff to do to the roll pan, all that kind of stuff, but at least we got the rear taillights, license plate, and that. And again, we still have to add the license plate light to this after, but that's going to wait until we're basically all done. That's just drilling a hole, maybe do a little tiny bit of welding at the back just to conceal it, but that's about it. So for now, that pretty much seals up all the lights at the back. They're double filament bulbs in these, so those one single lights, they double signal, brake, and your marker light, your continuous on light. Those red guys are going to do all of those functions, so I don't need any amber lights on this. We have our one reverse spotlight, whatever you want to call it, but it's a reverse light in this case. Then we have our license plate with our license plate light. That pretty much seals up the complete back-end lighting assembly. I don't want to do lights in the tailgate, none of that. I've never really been a fan of that. I think simple is key for this truck. Keep going with factory-ish accessories that might have been on it, but we'll try to stay away from adding a whole bunch of extra stuff. So, we're continuing on the lights. We got to move to the front. Front lights. All right, so you would think they're just as easy as bolt in, bolt off. Not so much with this truck. The front lights that we have, I believe the ring and maybe these headlight buckets are international, but the outer chrome ring, I'll show you in a second. I have two of these right here. These are actually off of 1949, 1953. They work for Plymouth, Dodge, Chrysler, or DeSoto. I bought them both for 15 bucks a piece. They're all kind of beat up and stuff, but it's going to fit this truck 100%. Now, I'll show you kind of what we're dealing with. This guy right here has a nice little clip that kind of hooks behind a piece of steel, and then this bolt gets drawn in. So, in order to install these lights, we have to retrofit these guys in here. But first, before we even screw around with this guy, we have to retrofit the chrome ring and the sealed beam inside that housing. That's our first step. Once we know that we got those guys inside the light where they're supposed to be, the light housing, we can then screw around with this guy. The other one actually needs to be soldered on or brazed on. The little clip's broken off, but we can fix that. There's no problem there. So yeah, there's no time like the present. Time to get working. Now, tell you honest truth, these sealed beams here have fallen down. I think one's cracked, not sure. Not even sure if they work. They were just in the front fascia. I believe they were in the front fascia when we got the truck. So, I don't have a lot of faith in these guys, but for right now, if we got a weld beside them and stuff, there's no problem there. You can get sealed beams all the live long day for super cheap. So, what we got to do, we got to get this guy in here, basically. As you can see, I installed that headlight bucket upside down, so that's awesome. You can tell because the sealed beams, they say sealed beam on the bottom and a 2. The 2 is supposed to be up at the top, and you know, you're supposed to have the words legible, but you know, this one's upside down. That's cool, that's great, but you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, especially for just a sealed beam. If it was a projector housing or something fancy like that, maybe a 2-stage, high beam and low beam, maybe then, but with a sealed beam, it'll be just as fine running upside down as it is right side up. So yeah, let's start MacGyvering this guy together. The good news is, the ring itself should go on pretty easy. We just gotta basically put some screws in it, and it should be good from there. This guy's gonna be the hard part, guaranteed. It always helps to have a gigantic bin of basically screws. Can't go wrong with that at all. So we're going to try these guys. They're a little bit on the big side, but they should work just dandy. I like it. So that holds that light in pretty darn good. And I have conveniently 3 more of these guys. Oh, geez, where are they going? I'm losing them. I got conveniently 3 more of these guys, so we'll have a matching set. Let's install them on that side. So this guy's a little interesting. He's missing the attachment point for this guy right here. I was trying to figure it out, but it's actually missing this little piece. There's 3 of them, bang, bang, bang. So we're gonna have to make a piece, to tell you the honest truth. I think just a nut, if I can find something that this guy will thread into, it'll work out pretty darn sweet. And if you guys don't know, this is my bolt bin. There's over like 12 trucks in here, just of spare bolts, parting them out, throw them all in there, metric standard. Just small stuff like this to big bolts. Up close and personal, this is what I'm talking about here. We got these little tabs. That's where your alignment bolts are, right here and here. But that's also where that chrome ring attaches, here, here. This one's missing, as you can see. It's gone. But this one doesn't hold any stress, you see. It's only the springs and these guys that are actually under tension. This one up here, its sole job is to hold this ring. So I've been doing some thinking. I looked in my bolt bin over there, found this little interior speed clip, put him on. This guy threads in there fine. So what we're going to do, as you can see, I kind of marked it out already. It doesn't have to look good because it's all going to be hidden anyway. We're going to cut him basically so we have a nice little L bracket. We'll poke him up through. Basically align it with the ring without the light on it. Get him all cinched down. Get him exactly where we need it to be. And then I'll just weld it direct. Right there. And it'll be all good. There we go. We got our little L bracket all cut up. So now we just gotta kind of poke them up through, set it all up. I'll get it under tension, and then we'll weld this guy directly where he's supposed to be. All right, well, looks like I forgot to film again. You know how it is. But I basically made that little bracket, put him in. He's all welded up. They hold the lights good. So now we got to step up to the rings. Now, I was actually doing some looking. On these guys, they're not made for these rings, right? But you know what's neat? I noticed we have the main mounting hole for the ring. That's all right. Right there's a slit, right? Right here's a tab. So the only thing stopping me from putting this guy on, I think, is this little tiny bit of lip right here. If I get rid of that lip, I should be able to mount him just the way that they were supposed to be on the Dodge. For some reason, they fit these international buckets pretty fine. Who knows? Maybe they're not international buckets. You never know. That one also has a slit. We just got to repair this guy and add his tab back on. Not too hard, just a little bit of tack welding. It should be okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some thinking here. I might have to trim this down or move that out, something, just to get that guy to hook. But once he's hooked, it should just be one singular bolt, nice long bolt or something, and we should be all set. Yes, sir. There's one of the two anyway. Let's start working on that guy. All right, so not really the way you want to go about this, but we don't have the technology and we don't have the parts that we should to actually do this the right way. So what we're going to do this is the wrong way. We're going to try to solder this connection back together using oxypropane and rosin core flux. You want to use acid core flux for this and like a little heat torch, but we have neither of those, so we got torches. There we go. Let's try to get the heat going. Well, you know what? It looks like it's going to fight me regardless. So we'll just have to kind of whisk it. Let that guy mellow for a little bit. So we're going to apply some paste. And once the paste melts, we're going to try to coax her in. I don't know if this is going to work. I can't guarantee anything. But I can guarantee that we're going to try our darndest. There. And now we wait. Honestly, if that doesn't hold, we're going to have to go to super glue or something like that. Or, you know, use the right stuff, but we're not going to do that. That would be silly. Get this guy clipped in. Oh, you know what we did? We put this on upside down. Well, it wasn't on very strong anyway, so that's okay. So I guess until we get that guy all straightened up, we're going to have to just put it on with this for right now. All right, that's pretty much how the lights are going to look on this truck. It's a shame that one's broken and we don't have the right solder to really put her on, but when we do, it's going to be an easy enough fix. Now, there's two other lights that are going to go on this truck for sure. You never know down the road, but two other lights for sure that are going to go on this. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but if you know Internationals or old Ford pickups, you might be able to figure out where they go. But that's how the lights turned out, and I think they're pretty darn good. It gives it a nice little face now, which it kind of had at the very beginning, but when you put lights on something, it really kind of brings it right together. All right, so now that we have all the lights pretty much in here, minus those two lights that I was talking about, I think we should start working on, you know, something a little small, just kind of wrap things up. I don't really want to dive into a huge project right now, but I got these here. They're kind of like boat sides or anchors or whatever. They're on the 2003 F-150. That's what they look like right here. Pretty simple stuff. They got to be cleaned up in the worst way, but I kind of want to put one on each corner of inside the bed. I can use them as tie downs. That would be pretty nice, but it will also let me raise up the bed for maintenance and stuff like that, because we're going to have to take this bed off and on a couple times down the road, and we're getting pretty darn close to completion on the bed itself, and we got to get to that back of the cab in the future pretty soon likely. So installing these boat side pieces, these little anchor tie downs, are really going to help a guy out. But first I got to straighten them up because, you know, I think I removed them with a sledgehammer from the 2003 F-150. So I just got to straighten them up, clean them up just a little bit, and then we're just going to directly weld them down to the corners, basically one on each four corners. Should work out pretty nice, so let's get at it. Now, first off, we're just going to clean up all the old paint and scale that's on them, because there's quite a little bit, but this is going to take forever with that guy. I'm just going to use the old whirly on the drill bit. So there we go, we got them all pretty much cleaned up, so let's start knocking these guys up and kind of bending them up the shape. Alright, so I pretty much have all four anchors all done up. Now we can kind of weld these guys into the bed. So there you go, fellas. We basically, you know, we got the hooks on it now, so we can use those for tying down stuff inside the bed, over the hump, whatever. I might even add another 4 just on the other arms. That way you have one section that you can really tie down hard on each corner. But also, main reason, we can use them to lift the bed. I'm curious to know if the bed assembly will lift off with the fenders, the side running boards, the lights, all that stuff, even the tailgate. If not, we're going to have to do some disassembly to take it off. But the reason I did this now, and again, bringing it up, very soon in the future, there's a lot of finish welding to do on the bed underneath, but that's not the main reason why we're taking it off. If we want to do that front end, we're pretty much going to have to do the inner rockers on the cab. And in order to do that, we got to get to the back cab corners because we got to do those too. It's going to be a lot easier with no bed on this. I can tell you that for sure. So, maybe, just maybe, the bed's going to be off of this pretty darn soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We got lights. We got a whole bunch of stuff kind of on this guy, and we got some stuff made so we can keep moving forward. I'll catch you guys in the next one really, really soon. All right, see ya.